Hello everybody, this is Gary. Today is Sunday, October 27th, 2019. It is 2:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the United States in Rochester, New York, and this is my coping with schizophrenia vlog entry for today. I wasn't planning on doing a video today, but I got a request from somebody to make a video about schizophrenia and a specific topic, and that is the shorter lifespan of people who have schizophrenia and why they have a shorter lifespan and by how much. There's a lot of reasons that a person with schizophrenia or a similar disorder like schizoaffective disorder has a shorter lifespan than the general population. They even have shorter lifespans than, say, depressed people. Obviously, among depressed people, suicide is a big cause of death. But in schizophrenia, the suicide rate is 5 times more than those who are depressed or in the general population. It's five times more likely that a person with schizophrenia will commit suicide successfully and not just make a failed attempt at it, but be more successful in the attempt. I have a lot of friends that have died young before they reach the age of 55. And the average lifespan of schizophrenics is 20 years less than the general population. Suicide is one cause, and I've had at least 6 friends that have died by suicide before they turned 55. And I myself just turned 54 on the 15th of October, and I certainly don't want to be one of those people that dies 20 years shorter than everybody else, especially because I'm an atheist. I don't believe in anything other than this life, and I don't see a reason for me to cut myself off from life 20 years early. I've never made a personally serious suicide attempt. I don't have the balls for that. But my sister did commit suicide. There are 10 kids in my family, and she was the oldest of 4 girls and the third oldest in the family, and she committed suicide, if I remember correctly, in 1996 with a double-barrel shotgun. At least I think that's what my brother told me when he told me about her death. Other reasons that schizophrenics might die younger is cigarettes. I'm in the process of trying to quit smoking because although I passed my last physical, I'm still a heavy smoker. And I tried quitting before, was partially successful, went back to it. I tried using Chantix to help me quit smoking, but unfortunately Chantix was a poor choice for medications because it can cause psychiatric problems, and obviously I already have psychiatric problems. So we had to discontinue the Chantix because I went to the psychiatric emergency room. But anyways, smoking cigarettes is a very big cause of death among schizophrenics and other people who are psychotic, because while most of the population has quit smoking over the past 30 years because of the big anti-smoking campaigns, the big lawsuits against tobacco companies to recover billions and pounds, billions of dollars that the government said was spent by Medicaid and Medicare on smoking-related illnesses, the general shaming of people who smoke cigarettes in the general population has been very successful in getting people to quit. However, that's not true among people who are psychotic and schizophrenic. 80% of those who are psychotic or have schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder still smoke tobacco. That's 80% of them. So tobacco is another leading cause of death in the form of lung cancer, emphysema, heart attacks, high blood pressure, cerebral palsy, stroke. These all come from smoking cigarettes, and I've known people who have died from smoking-related illnesses. They were constantly coughing and hacking phlegm out of their lungs. They were obviously not in good health. I just lost a friend who died that way from smoking cigarettes, and he was no older than 62 or 63, which is still a shorter lifespan than most people in the United States. So suicide, tobacco, And when I say tobacco, it doesn't necessarily mean just smokers. I suppose there are people who are psychotic who use chewing tobacco and other forms of nicotine. Um, so suicide and tobacco are two big things that kill people with psychosis. People who are psychotic are more than 5 times likely to commit suicide. Alcohol and drugs is obviously another thing that causes death among mentally ill people more than the general population. That's not to say that you have to be mentally ill to be an alcoholic or a drug addict, but a lot of homeless mentally ill use alcohol and drugs. And there's another cause of death right there. Alcohol, drugs, and just the fact of being homeless reduces your lifespan. It's not unusual for somebody who's homeless to have their body found frozen and dead because of the cold weather, at least up here in the northern part of the United States. Um, so, smoking, cigarettes, tobacco in general, suicide, drugs, alcohol, being homeless um, are all causes of an early death for people who are psychotic or have schizophrenia. I'm sort of lumping all psychotic people into the same group because the American Psychiatric Association has said that schizophrenia falls on a spectrum the same way that autism falls on a spectrum. So if I were to lump, say, schizoaffective disorder in with schizophrenia, I wouldn't be totally wrong in doing that because schizoaffective is on the schizophrenia spectrum. So they're sort of related as the same disease in different degrees. Um, but suicide, alcohol, drugs, tobacco, homelessness, all of these things cut down the life expectancy of people who are psychotic and have schizophrenia and schizoaffective disorder. Another thing is poor diet. And when I say poor diet, I usually mean overeating. A person like myself who's on a drug like Seroquel, which I'm on, can cause you to overeat. It's one of the more horrible side effects of an antipsychotic drug. If you're not exercising and watching your diet, a drug like Seroquel can make you feel hungry all the time, so you're always eating, and your brain can't tell you that you're full because you're always feeling like you aren't full and you're always eating. And so I've seen at least 3 or 4 of my friends who have died from ballooning up in weight from an average. Let's say I'm 5'9" and my average weight should be about 200 pounds. I've seen friends of mine who might be at 200 pounds who ended up at 300 pounds and would die due to related issues to obesity and overeating. Um, and that means people are dying from diabetes that comes with overweight, heart attacks, high blood pressure, strokes again. So being overweight and a poor diet, even if you're not homeless, is still a leading cause of death in people who are mentally ill and people who are psychotic. Um, I mean, obviously, in depressed people, a lot of these problems run through their population as well, and I don't want to diminish that. People who are depressed die from suicide, from smoking, from alcohol, from drugs, from being homeless, and all of those things, suicide. But this video specifically is about schizophrenia, and they have those problems at a much higher rate than even depressed people do. Depressed people, on average, obviously commit suicide more successfully than the general population, but schizophrenics do it 5 times more than the general population or people who are depressed. Um, and my guess on that is because while being depressed is a horrible experience, which I've been through, it's even more horrible to go through a psychotic disorder. It's very frightening to see things that aren't there, to hear voices telling you to do things that are not really happening. The voices are not real. So schizophrenia could be an extremely lonesome, scary, fearful experience. And I wouldn't be surprised that's why so many people choose suicide. So I guess that's all for now that I could think of. Oh, and if you want to know what my resources are for all these statistics I'm throwing out there, I just went to the schizophrenia uh, article in Wikipedia and got a lot of these statistics from there on schizophrenia, and also my own psychiatrist, and also my own personal experiences of why my friends died before they turned 55. Um, so personal experience, asking my psychiatrist, and looking up some of the statistics on uh, Wikipedia. Wikipedia is not, I know, a scientific source necessarily, but I already knew a lot of these statistics from personal experience. Um, so that's about it. Those are the main things that cause people who are schizophrenic to have a lifespan that's 20 years younger, or 20 years younger in death than the average population. Um, and I'm in the process of trying to quit smoking. I'm probably going to end up using the combination of nicotine gum and patches along with a drug called Zyban. I can't get that drug though until I talk to my psychiatrist in person. He's not willing to prescribe anything unless I see him in person first. I'm sure he will prescribe the Zyban. It's also known as Wellbutrin, and it can be used to help quit smoking without the psychiatric side effects of Chantix. Um, but I may have passed my physical, but my lungs always have constant phlegm in them. I'm breathing okay considering that I smoke a bag a day, but sooner or later that's going to change, and it's already starting to change. I can feel in my lungs the phlegm that builds up and the coughing that comes from constantly hacking on from cigarette smoke. And so I'm getting more frightened as the days go by. I want to get this done as soon as possible. I want to see my psychiatrist, which I believe is on November 7th or 8th or 9th, next week after next. And I want to start another serious attempt at quitting smoking because I went back to it after quitting a while. And I have successfully quit in the past. I've gone as long as 5 years without a cigarette. But my girlfriend in 2001, April 13th, she died from AIDS, and I have been smoking ever since then. And the stress of her death caused me to go back to tobacco. And as far as HIV is concerned, I suppose it's possible that people with schizophrenia are more likely to have health problems like infections and sexually transmitted diseases and HIV. I didn't specifically look up those statistics, but it seems to me infectious diseases would also be a leading cause of death for people who are schizophrenic, especially if they're homeless and they're not able to take care of their personal hygiene, um, and they're sexually active out on the streets. It's entirely possible that HIV and sexually transmitted diseases might cut short the lifespan of people who are psychotic and mentally ill. But that's all I could come up with for this video. If anybody believes that I missed anything, go ahead and leave a comment. I do read the comments. This video is a response to a comment for me to make a video on this topic. So that's about it. If anybody has anything that I missed, please put it in the comment section.